Manus flat on the canvas. We are ready to rock and roll. Second round of action. There is a cut on Manus.
Jesus.
Martial arts. Yeah.
My man B-Hop, he got dropped out the ring last night. I need a little judo baby. I need me a little judo baby, and let's do it, Ron. Let's hit me up.
I see you were filming this. You got a face for radio.
Got a face for radio.
That's nice.
Martial arts chat.
Hello, welcome to Martial Arts Chat Podcast. We're celebrating 4 years of Martial Arts Chat, and it's mostly been a pleasure, often been a joy. Delighted that you're joining us this evening. Lots of fan questions come in tonight, and that's because we're running a competition thanks to our good friends at beastgear.co.uk. We've got a massive roundtable waiting with bated breath to hear what you had to say. But before I introduce tonight's panel, just a shout out to our sponsors, A1 Fight Gear. The A1 Fight Gear use the latest cutting edge boxing gloves for professional and amateur fighters, gym enthusiasts and kickboxers. Local and national gyms in the UK, do yourselves a favour, go check out a1fightgear.com. If you want to get in shape, get back in shape, or keep trimming the fat off, go to beastgear.co.uk, use the coupon code martialartschat, and if you do that you'll save 15% off your purchases for core sliders, straps, barbell pads, all different strength and conditioning programs to suit your needs at different levels. And finally, we're also sponsored by World of Martial Arts Television. Woma.tv produces, finds, acquires, commissions and presents all you ever wanted to know about martial arts. Discover techniques, exercises and forms from your favourite martial artists. Explore martial art philosophies, health, culture and spirituality. So let's get to the panel this evening then. Making his long-awaited return from MMA High 5, it's Mr. Kieran McNairn. Kieran, how you doing, sir?
Hey everyone, I'm fantastic. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Pleasure to have you back on, buddy. From MMA Huddle, Mr. Jon Ferguson. Jon, how you doing, sir?
Evening, gents. Yeah, great to always be here and have a chat with you, lads.
Pleasure, my man. The maestro for today, Fighttalk Scotland's own, is Mr. Don Wilson. Don, how are you doing, sir?
Hello, I've been here for the 4 years.
Feels like longer.
I'm sober tonight for this one, though.
That's the first. That's it, mate. MMA Fight Bible's own, my brother from another mother, Mr. Chris Allen. Chris, how you doing, sir?
Hello, mate. Yep, doing very well. Thanks for having us on, mate. Yeah, look forward to it. It's going to be good. Fourth year episode. It's good to be with you this year.
Thanks, my man. ifoxwithjuice podcast on. Beautiful human being. Always delighted to have him on. Mr. Victor Vargas. Victor, how you doing, sir?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Looking forward to this.
Finally, bringing up the rear, representing Severe MMA, front row MMA as well. Two outstanding gentlemen in their own right. We're delighted to have them on. It's Shawn Betts and it's Steve Abbott. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. 4 year, I guess after the list read out, Shawn and I got the shout because it's our first time on. Long time listener though.
There you go.
This is how it works, you see. Now Steve's here, I don't get a chance to talk. You
just have to know your place, boy. Poor lad. Well, thanks for helping us celebrate the 4 years of podcast, man. Lots of fan questions, as we said. We asked our listeners to send in usual fan questions for the roundtable. Let's just say a lot of them did not disappoint, man. Lots to get through tonight. But before we get to all of that and pick a winner from those questions, there was a pretty outstanding card last night in UFC 236. I was want to get some reaction from our panel. So we'll maybe start with Jon Ferguson on this one, because Jon, I know you had some big time thoughts prior to it for main and co-main, but just give me your reaction to both the title cards fights.
Yeah, man, it was surprisingly even better than I thought. Both of the fights, the co-main event, Kelvin and Adesanya. I was surprised Kelvin didn't utilise a bit more wrestling in it, but then again, I think Israel Adesanya has shown now. Well, I'm probably pronouncing his surname wrong, because he said it the other day, didn't he, on social media, and I think everyone's realised they're all saying it wrong.
Was it wrong?
Oh, yeah, the way he pronounces it, it's... Yeah, we're killing this surname. But he's got legitimate takedown defense, but also he's shown great defense to get back up off the mat, you know, and I think that's not being seen enough. And obviously questions people were saying, oh, Yoel Romero, how did he handle this? But I think, you know, I think if Yoel and him ever met, I think it'd get to round 3 or 4 and he'd have a whale of time. But in the fight itself, Kelvin just couldn't get past that rangefinder. It was so much effort to get the gap closed. He's just, as you saw in the 3rd and 4th and 5th, he started to swing big shots. One or two landed. It was just, he was trying to get that gap closed. Obviously, kicking that front leg that Izzy was doing, it was really making a difference. People won't realise it, but it was making a difference to Kelvin. Jumping and kind of speed and kind of effort he wanted to land. He landed shots, don't get me wrong, but I think Israel Adesanya really showed that was his number one. That was the biggest test he had, and he came through flying colours. Super impressed. Can't wait for him and Rob Whittaker to go at it, and that's going to be a beautiful fight.
Oh, it's going to be something else. And what about Poirier and Holloway, man? How did you react to that one, mate?
Well, at first, in the first round, I kind of went, oh boy, this is going to go quicker. And
same.
I think everyone kind of were a bit surprised how quick that was going to go down. But I thought Poirier maybe punched himself out a bit, thinking he had that in the bag. Holloway just showed what he is, man. He's just a grinder. He doesn't stop, and he put this output obviously in the later rounds, obviously from the second onwards, and it was beautiful to watch him, man. And I think the pair of them had combined significant strikes, second most lightweight fights history. And I think first was Dustin and Gaethje, and then they're number two, which is obviously a crazy 381 significant strikes. Max did look a little bit smaller, but I think Max has still got the body to try and do featherweight as well. I think he's still wanting to try and get back down to 145. I think if Max dedicated himself to be a 155er only, he would have a bigger frame. He'd probably have a bit more pop in his hands. And I'd like to see that, in a couple of fights times. I'd like to see him go back down to 145, defend that a couple more times maybe, just to kind of solidify himself as, I am still a badass, man. I'm still champ. Because, look, he just went 5 rounds with Dustin Poirier. And look at Gaethje and Alvarez. They couldn't go 5 rounds with him, So
true.
It shows what a badass he is at 155 when it's his first time in there. First time, mate, you're going to get a title fight, well, interim title fight, whatever you want to call it, number one contender, against a badass man himself, Dustin Poirier. It was a hell of a scrap.
Yeah, and pouring of blood, 10 seconds to go after a war, and then pointing to the ground, still want to just swing it out, man. Crazy, isn't it? What a legend, man. Absolute legend. Don Wilson, Don, what about you? I know you had stayed up for the fights, my man.
Just before talking to them, I want to shout out to the Khalil Roundtree fight. That guy is a bad dude.
Come on. Leg kicks.
Every shot he was throwing, I think every time he threw a punch or a kick, I was just saying, oh! It was like you wince every time you saw it. I'm thinking, I don't know how he's going to do right up high up the food chain, but right now, you put him on a card and I'm excited to watch him fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how he'll do the top, but yeah, the main two fights, I think Gaslam maybe was kind of buying into his own hype. The first couple of rounds, he looked great, and he was just kind of cruising through it. It was like he was doing really well, and he's like, right, I've got this. And then Adesanya just started to bring it back, and before you knew it, Gaslam was like, right, I'm done here. I don't think he had much left. But yeah, no, it was a great fight in Adesanya. Now I'm starting to guess myself how to pronounce his name. I want to know how you say it now.
Yeah, no, I really want to know as well, man. Yeah. I usually butcher names at the best of times, but now that I've been found out, I really want to correct that error.
Yeah, that was funny. What's that? Two Nigerian champs now in a short space of time.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Is it though? You're clutching at straws. Are they really Nigerian? I mean, come on.
Yeah. Where's Adesanya?
He's from New Zealand, is he not?
Yeah.
Both born in Nigeria, but obviously emigrated to a different country.
I don't know. I'm sounding like Donald Trump now. Just shut up, right? But
you're not like you're talking.
I want to see his passport. No, I don't want to see his passport.
We thought that Poirier fight was going to be quick. Not obviously watching, but we didn't know how. I think that was a really close fight. Most folk were basically 50-50. Had no idea who was going to win it, and then as soon as it started, well, this might be over quick. I thought Poirier had it, but yeah, saying Holloway dug in that gash he got, and he's in between his kind of nose, top of his nose and eye. That was nasty with the glancing knee. Just the way he took it, he got hurt, and then he rubbed his forehead, and he just looked at his hand.
Like he was wiping his nose, wasn't he? Yeah.
He was like, did I get cut? Checks his hands, like, fuck. My face is wide open right now. No, that was a great fight.
Great
yeah. Look forward to watching that again.
Absolutely. Finally, Steve, give me some of your thoughts, your reaction to last night's big card, sir.
Oh, well, I thought the co-main was absolutely amazing. I mean, Gastelum, in the first round, it looked like he was going to be able to set that kind of pace and kind of control. You could see that I'm just going to call him Israel because I'm not going to get that wrong. Israel, he kept him back. He was unable to sort of set anything off. He was fighting off the back foot a lot, and you thought, woof, it could be a long night for Israel. I mean, it was it wasn't domination, but it was Gastelum doing what Gastelum does. And for Israel to kind of readjust, find that range, and then he started running through the gears, didn't he? Yeah. He saw that Gastelum was slowing. I mean, in the fifth, he even showed he's got some ground. You know what I mean? Never did he triangle, and just an overall phenomenal performance. People talking about him and Whitaker. I'd like to see him and Romero. I think that'd be just a stylistic. That would just, I just a little bit excited thinking about that.
Yeah, man. No, forget Jesus. No, we love Romero on this, man. He always gets a lot of love. Gotta love Soldier of God, man. He's something special. Guys, it is a special episode tonight for us, as we mentioned. 4 years of doing this roundtable was always fun. But even more so with fan questions. I think we started doing the fan questions quite later, for what I remember, because Dawn and Victor, you guys were on the early shows, right? And it was just us chatting a lot of shit. And man. But then we got even more shit from fans, so it made it much more interesting. But yeah, there's a chance to win some prizes courtesy of friends, like we said. A1 Fight Gear helping us out with some boxing gloves as well. So remember, guys, you have to pick a winner from this, but it's an open floor. Don't have to wait your turn. So if we're all ready, we'll start with the Facebook questions that came in. Now, Mr. Kevin Jones was unavailable for tonight's roundtable, but he has sent in a wonderful question regarding TJ Dillashaw, and he asks, is TJ Dillashaw, Dillashaw just that stupid, or is it possibly that Cody Garbrandt popped something in his anal? Wow, he's right in there.
Wow. I gotta address this first, Kevin.
I feel you should.
Always defending John Jones. You know, he's a ally of USADA, so I wouldn't be surprised if he snitched him out.
Golden snitch. Yeah,
Steve, you know a lot about suppositories.
I'm on the speech. It breaks my heart though, because again, guys who, in all seriousness, guys who for years have created like a legacy for themselves, and you look at Anderson and TJ was well on his way to becoming, best pound for pound, and for them to. I mean, the win must be that important, but it's really sad, and it makes you start to look at loads of fighters now, and it maybe tarnishes the sport for more than just him, because people now start going, is he clean? Is he clean? Yeah. Is he clean? And and again, guys like John Jones, as great as he is, there's always going to be that asterisk next to his name. Like, can you call some of these guys legitimately the greatest of all time?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
I want to ask.
Sorry, I bummed the whole thing out there. Great question, and I just killed it.
No, I just want to ask something here too, because I was never on board with this. I don't get this whole thing of TJ being the possibly the greatest bantamweight ever. I don't know how he surpasses Dom Cruz. I don't even know how he's close to him. Honestly, I don't understand why anybody was on board with this. Am I missing something here? Is it just the fact that he
would be above him? Who would you have above Dillashaw then?
Dom Cruz.
Dominic Cruz. It was a close fight though, but yeah, I mean, I probably would agree with you, but it was a close fight.
I also think Dillashaw has more, that potential, those future fights. Whereas you got to look now at someone like, Dom and wonder, can he, is he going to come back like he did? Whereas Dillashaw had a future. He wasn't at the twilight of his career. He was right in the full swing of it, and could very well have gone on to create a legacy of wins. Yeah. Didn't, but how many of the wins before this are legitimate?
Is the getting popped and the failed drugs test all because he tried to make flyweight? I mean, if it's just
no. EPO is basically it's like an aid in recovery. It's very popular and very huge in cycling.
Right.
Tour de France guys do it quite a lot. Blood doping, so it's just to get more oxygen back in the muscle to help recover.
Oh, right.
So what you do is you take you basically take blood out. You put it apparently they put it through a centrifuge, and it basically gets a load of oxygen in. So it's a high, rich oxygenated blood goes back in the body, and it helps basically recover. So it's not really going to help you cut weight. If he was doing I think something like Winstrol and clenbuterol, that would be like a cutting agent to help him cut weight. But with EPO, it's like Ali Bagatinov got caught with it when he fought Demetrius Johnson. again, he was trying to get more oxygen in the gas tank. I don't know what. It's maybe something to do along those lines.
Well, it's his performance enhancing. It's performance enhancement bets. There's no other way.
It is what it is at the end of the day. And I always liked Dillashaw quite a lot, but after when he lost to Cejudo and kicked off so much in the cage, then I lost a bit of respect for him. Like, you look how Robbie Lawler handed his one to Ben Askren.
Yeah, that's true. What a contrast. Yeah, you're right, man.
Good. You know what I mean? He took it like a man. He actually went up to Herb Dean and says, "You're a fucking hell of a referee." These things happen. You know what I mean? And then I was a bit like, "Oh, do you know what, Dillashaw? You lost my respect." And when this doping thing came out, I was almost like, "Good. I'm glad you got caught." Do you know what I mean?
His apology was awful, mate, on Instagram. It was
I haven't seen it, but I heard. Yeah,
you can't accidentally take this stuff, can you? You have to intentionally take this stuff, don't you?
Yeah.
You can't.
Well, you have to take your blood
It's not
out.
in a steroid. It's not in like an antibiotic or anything, is it? So.
No, you have to draw your blood out and then get it done and put it back. So you know what you're doing. So why he just didn't put a say there and go, look, yeah, I cheated, I got caught, I was,
sorry.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, but
sorry.
He went on this spiel for 3 minutes and just, he's going to be 35 when he comes back. Bantamweight division, you can't exactly get, Dominic Cruz, like you said, is in that kind of position. But Dominic Cruz put his legacy in place in WEC. This is the issue we've got, where he did cement himself as one of the best 135. It was just because it didn't have the UFC name next to it, because there was no 135 division. So, you got Renan Barão, Dominic Cruz, and TJ Dillashaw, but now Dillashaw's tainted. It's a big asterisk again, like you said.
Is Uriah Faber a good shout, even though it was more WC days for him? But is Uriah Faber in that sort of bantamweight goat bracket? No, not at all. No. Fuck, man, I'm in lonely company here.
I don't want to push the point too far, but and how far back was he cheating? Because again, there are some guys whose careers took very different trajectories after losing to him.
Wow, and for sure.
Well, and I'm thinking, but I'm going even further back. I'll look at again another British fighter that was, in the UFC. Von Lee fought this kid.
That's right.
And it just makes you wonder what would have happened to all of these guys with that win. What the change of opponent would be, the change of opportunity. Like the ripple effect is massive.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. I've got a different angle on that. Can we just question why the most boring man in the world, Cody Garbrandt, would be giving anyone drugs? Have you seen any of the behind the scenes stuff?
No.
He's honestly a cookie cutter tough guy. Like, there's nothing to him whatsoever. He's not handing anyone drugs. Come on.
I love the trash talk though. It was him and Dillashaw. I was like, "Are you stupid? It was just like, it was so bad, man. So bad. It was so entertaining. That's a great show.
Definitely set the bar with that question.
Right, okay, let's move on because we've loads to get through. No, good show, Kieran. Paddy Patterson, regular listener and questionnaire, is asking, man, they're odd ones tonight. Which UFC fighter would you prefer to be raped by? I just read them, man. I just read them.
Can I take this one?
Well, you're a fucker.
People have got obvious choices, obviously your Misha Tates and Ollie and stuff like that, but I'd go for Czech Congo every day of the week.
Wow.
that's
the
not
recovery
choice,
on him. Yeah, the recovery. Pat Barry effect.
Gotta be Brock Lesnar for me.
Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, as long as he had the universal title around his waist, that'd be special.
That's brilliant. That's amazing.
Like Joe Rogan said, he'd wear you as a condom and fuck something bigger.
Well, I hope you got your answer, Paddy. Miles Painter is asking something a wee bit more serious. Which Dana White Contender Series fighter takes a step forward after UFC 236? Montel Jackson or, what is it? Jalen Turner, is it?
Jalen Turner, yeah. It'd be Montel Jackson. That dude is legit. He's got, like you said, he talk about the hands bigger than Ngannou, but he's just such a talented dude. He's got submissions, great pop in his hands. He's going to be an absolute terror in that division, not just this year, but next year he's going to make big things.
Yeah, I'm on the Montel Jackson hype train. I actually just saw the fight like an hour before coming on air because I missed it last night. And yeah, I've always liked Andre Sukumtad, and he just schooled him. My only concern is he blew weight in his last fight, and I do not see that dude getting any smaller, man. I think it's going to get tougher and tougher for him. I know he's young, but he just also seems to keep growing. He's just got a really, really weird frame. He's a really strong dude, so I think he's gonna have to go up sooner, probably rather sooner rather than later. But that dude is very, very promising. He seems to have it. He seems to have it all together if he can get the weight cut under control.
What's his what weight does he fight at, Victor? I'm not familiar with it.
135, isn't it?
He's a bantamweight, right.
He might go to the UFC PI and they might do tests to help him out, or they might give him nutrition plans to help him out with.
Yeah, you would think so.
Because he probably hasn't got the proper professional help at the moment. A lot of guys just wing it.
Yeah, man, that's how it goes, isn't it? Dave Bull is asking, Martial Arts Chat podcast, do you think headbutts should be legal in MMA?
They were.
Yeah, was it a time?
Right, they were.
Yeah. They used to be, yeah.
Bring it back.
There was nothing more fun than watching Ken Shamrock lie in a guard, and occasionally drop his forehead into somebody else. No, you know what? I don't. The same thing can be asked about like the soccer kicks and the blah blah blah. And I'm not a prude. I'd bring like knees to the head to a downed opponent back any day of the week. But there's something about the aesthetic of the headbutt and the soccer kick and the stomp that I think you just couldn't make it mainstream.
No.
You just couldn't put that. You couldn't put that on ESPN. You couldn't put it on Fox. And I don't think. I think there was a place for it at the beginning. Not anymore.
Also, the last 30 years, Cabbage Carrera would have remained undefeated. He'd now be 108-0. He'd hold every belt in the UFC. So I thought it's best for the sport.
I don't mind it because you wouldn't see it as much as you think because you can't use it standing because you can't just go forward and headbutt someone because you get cracked in the face. And on the ground it'd be more so, but a lot of guys using their shoulders. If you see that a lot of the times, the guys are using their shoulders to try and implement kind of like a fake headbutt, so to speak, just to kind of break the guard up. But I don't think it'd be used as much as you think because the grappling these days is way advancing back then. I think it'd be a very rare thing you see.
I think you probably see it as much as you do standing elbows. Really tight in the clinch.
Yeah, that's true.
Too much of a risk to cut yourself as well with a headbutt. You headbutt each other, you can cut yourself, and it's a high risk, low risk. It's terrible. I think do it.
No,
but
you could use it in the full mount. To be fair, if you're in the full mount and someone's just pulling you down, holding, you could use it then. But what you were saying about knees and stuff isn't side control. Isn't that's the dominant position for knees to the head? Isn't that one of the main reasons to go into side control?
All I know is that it drives me mad when I'm calling fights and stuff, and you see someone take side control and they have their opponent stuffed in the cage, and the knees to the body are just to the body. Even are they're one of the most underutilized things going.
I use that in side control when I competed. I've hit the knees to the body, and it's just a great one to knock the wind out of them.
Oh.
Beautiful stuff. We've got a question. Sorry, mate, on you go on.
I was going to say. Bit of a stereotypical comment, but if the headbutts did come in, we might have had a Scottish UFC champion by now.
True.
Let's get a kiss. That's it, man. Absolutely. That's a bread and butter, mate. Speaking of Scots, we've got a question specifically for Don Wilson. What's the secret to Don's crispy beef? It sounds like an inside joke, mate. Do tell.
I posted that and I saw that. I was like, what the fuck? And then what was it? Tom posted something after that. I can't remember what he said.
No, the next one comes from Tom. He's asking, has Don ever been sober at an on top?
Has he ever been sober? I've got to drive. He's the one that's never sober.
You've always got the keys, right?
Bastard.
James Lake is asking, how do you stop guys juicing, i.e. Dillashaw? Did you see John Kavanagh suggesting it sounded good? I didn't see Kavanagh suggest.
He said something about, was it taking away bonuses and stuff?
Having to any performance bonus or win bonus had to be paid back, and no contests all the way down. I think he put it out on Twitter, and it got a lot of traction. And John Kavanagh, and it's not the worst thing in the world.
Well, they do it with that, like same with cycling. Look at Lance Armstrong got all his titles taken away, and that was all retrospective because they obviously couldn't guarantee which year he was cheating from, so they just did right. You can't use cheat full stop, so. I tell you what, it'd be not a bad thing to do, or financially it might wreck people because some of them might not have the finances left because a lot of them just blow it. They're not swabby with their money. But something like that would be useful, but you can't stop it because there's always going to be cheating in every sport. You can't avoid it.
And it's always going to develop. It's always, there's always going to be somebody looking for the next way not to get caught. That's just the nature of all professional
exactly.
sport.
That's the nature of the business. It's a competitive sport, so you look for any. Exactly, mate. You look for any competitive.
So, there's always going to be something. Didn't Dana White come out today and say they've not really been testing for it? EPO, they call it.
EPO,
they've not really been testing for it.
Oh, I don't know.
So it's like Dana White came out and said that today they've not really been testing for it. So it was like maybe.
Why would you not? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was working with Dan Henderson's wrestling coach yesterday, and what he said to me was, "If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying."
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. It's cheating until it's only cheating if you get caught.
I mean, that's how a lot of them are probably looking at it. Yeah, I believe that for sure.
I think people just need to realize too, with drugs and sports, it is really just an extension of. I'm speaking as an American, as the war on drugs here. It really is very similar, and the thing is, some people kind of have this defeatist attitude as well, of like, well, they're juicing, everyone's going to juice, just let them be. But I compare it a lot to, if this is going to keep happening, it's like saying, oh, well, drugs are going to keep coming into the U.S., Mexico and all these countries are going to import them. So fuck it, let's not have a border, let's not have security, let's just let them bring it all in. It's like, no, you'd still have to mitigate it somehow, but yeah, these guys are always going to be ahead of the curve. It's always going to be a game of cat and mouse, and there's always going to be something crooked, some kind of bribery, there's always going to be ways around it. But I mean, I don't know the answer. I just know we shouldn't just go back to something else. We just got to find some other way to do it, I guess, or some way to advance it, because we can't just go back.
No, you're probably right.
They're testing people multiple times, aren't they? Like, how many times did Jon Jones say he got tested?
It was ridiculous. It was like 20 odd or something. Not enough, clearly.
Yeah, obviously not. Obviously not enough. Yeah, man. But there you are. So it just shows they are doing the best. They are doing what they can at the moment. But I guess the UFC have to spend more money to make it more vigorous. That's what it's going to be.
It's all about cheddar, baby. Thomas Kearney's asking on Facebook, with the rise of fighters stepping up or down in weight class to try and be champ, what's your dream fight with two guys that would involve one having to move up or down a weight class? Doesn't need to be champs. Mine's is Yoel Romero going up to 205 to fight Jon Jones. Interesting.
Oh, yeah, that's one that makes you think before you answer. And everyone's got all white.
Just come off the tongue.
Tasty.
Okay, I'll start it off. How about Israel Adesanya puts on a load of weight and fights Jon Jones?
I'll go Kevin Lee, Khabib. I know it's not going up on moving weights, but I'd just like to see them two go at it.
I'd have quite enjoyed to see the McGregor Cowboy. I think for pure entertainment and a scrap. You've got fireworks.
Yeah, I'd love to see that fight, man. Does anyone want to see Khabib and Ben Askren? Is it just me caught up in the hype?
I don't know. I'd be curious from like a technical standpoint. Yeah. I'd like to see. I'd watch it for that.
Yeah, I'd like to see the technical aspect of that. Yeah, definitely.
My dream matchup was always Anderson versus Jon Jones, but I very much doubt we're going to see that now. I think Anderson might get killed, so I'll have to double up on the Israel Jon Jones one, because I think he's the closest we've got to Anderson right now.
That fight's going to be a no contest, man. The amount of drugs swimming about in both those guys' systems, there's no way that's going to be a...
It's not drugs, it's dick pills. Come on.
That's right, yeah, of course.
And it's only picograms, it's okay.
Yeah,
it's
I'd quite like to see Israel. I mean, Whitaker Israel is a tasty proposition. And one that's quite realistic. I'd look forward to that one.
Or GSP Whitaker.
GSP will just lie on top of him for 5 rounds.
Could he get it down?
Hey, you're talking about a Canadian treasure there.
I love GSP. But Whitaker just on the. I know GSP's probably got one of the best jabs in the UFC for a long time. Don't get me wrong, but the problem is wrestling's too strong. Whitaker will be lying on the floor just getting beaten up. That is literally how that fight would happen. I don't mean to put a downer on it. I love GSP, but honestly, him coming back would just be an easy one for him. I find.
But Romero had difficulty.
Yeah.
Okay,
Cuban, medalist. This guy's arguably on paper a better wrestler than GSP. Certainly in terms of competition level. Yet Whitaker managed to kind of nullify that a little bit. Maybe that was a bit of Romero not shooting and doing things as much as he would have, but on paper, he's already stuffed a wrestler.
And yeah, true, and he stopped all the takedowns of Jacare as well. to be fair, so I'll give you that. Yeah, I'll retract my statement.
Sorry.
Shocking.
That's all right.
Just waving a white flag. Jonathan McAleer on Facebook, given the TJ suspension and the now vacant bantamweight title, do you and the panel think that this will now be the moment that Cody gets his shit together and wins the belt? He has shown that he has... he was shown that he was right about TJ, admitted that he fought terribly. It seems to me that he has matured a bit. Still a great fighter in my opinion. I think he has enough in him to be the champ again.
Marlon Moraes is coming for that belt.
Marlon Moraes, 2019. I've been saying it for months. And the thing is with Cody too, I mean, I guess he could do it. It would take a while though, but for his sake, and I know this is hard with fighters because sometimes they don't have the money or sometimes they're just too hard-headed. Like, I really think he should take some time off. He's been knocked out brutally 3 times in a row in a span of like 18 months. I mean, that can't be good for your head. So I think he needs to take some time off if he's even going to consider it. But I think Marlon Moraes is going to take it with I don't think Cejudo is going to have a chance against him, honestly.
Sorry, Victor, I just jumped in and stole your answer, didn't I?
I don't think so. Well, no, I mean, I've been talking about Moraes for a long time, so I was kind of just adding to yours. No worries.
Yeah, I think Cody needs time off as well. Look at if you look at boxing, Manny Pacquiao when he got absolutely starched, and then Freddie Roach like you need to take a time off, take a full year off, no sparring and nothing. Yeah. I think Cody needs to do the same thing. As much as he'll want to get back in there, I think he should be doing no sparring, or at least no head contact. I think he should just be drilling and just get his health back.
Didn't Robbie Lawler do that for a while? Like he was getting sparked so many times in Strikeforce, where he just like, right, I'm not doing any sparring rounds there or something. Like that.
Just do pad work, wrestling and jiu-jitsu. Just avoid any head strikes. And Cody needs to, because he is going to be at that tipping point, like kind of Chuck Liddell, where you had that chin, and then every time you touched it, you just started to go. And Cody's got to be very careful because he's tipping on the edge there.
I was just gonna ask that question. His chin. It does look like it started to go, and once it starts to go, isn't it just a slippery slope?
I think he needs to go back to the guy that basically out-point fighted Dominic Cruz instead of fighting like a lunatic every time. It's a ridiculous way to fight. Well, it's obviously the TJ fighters haven't helped, have they?
No.
Here's one for you from that. What do you think about the fighters that say they don't spar? What do you think about that for? Like, because Tony Ferguson came out, I think it was the last kind of his post-fight kind of press conference. He was saying he's not sparred in like 4 or 5 years.
Oh wow!
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. I don't think. I've done camps where I've sparred and some where I haven't sparred really that much. It's
like to me that's foreign. I've always sparred, but I suppose if you're at the top of the game and you want that career to go farther, you don't want to be getting sparred in the gym every day. So I suppose it can be good, but then you get into the cage and it's like you've been hitting pass and jumping in boxes for the last 8 weeks. What's it like to fight without actually getting the experience? But I suppose it's all about the numbers game and the length game. These guys want to push their careers further. And sparring in a gym.
It depends how you sparred as well. I mean, if you were used to going in like starching guys or getting sparked yourself, you're going home with potential concussions every night. And it's probably in your interest to take some time off from that shit. But it's a good or bad thing. I think depending on the fighter.
Yeah, exactly, John. That's exactly what I was going to say. Depending on the fighter, I think the veteran type dudes, the guys like Lawler, Ferguson, guys have been doing this for like 10 years, Cowboy and 10 years and over. They know how to fight. That's what Robbie used to say back in the day. I know how to fight. I don't need to practice this shit. But I think some of the younger guys, they definitely need to spar. And then I think depending on your background, if you're like Damian Maia type, if you're like a jiu-jitsu black belt, like Gary Tonin, these type of dudes that are coming in, I think they definitely need to spar because that, that's only going to get you so far. That's why I'm always curious about Ben Askren. Like, I mean, he's a good wrestler. Obviously, we all know that, but his hands are still shit. And I wonder, like, does he just automatically go for wrestling and sparring? Like, does he ever do just a kickboxing match? Just put the gloves and the shin guards on and just go at it, because it definitely doesn't seem like he does. But, I mean, also he took a beating from Lawler and didn't get knocked out. So who knows? Maybe he's preserving his head health. It's different, but I do think it depends on the fighter. I think it depends on your background and how long you've been in the game.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Katrina McElroy is asking, I might know her, if you were showing UFC to a friend for the first time and you wanted them to like it as much as you do, what fight are you going to pick and why?
I think for years that default answer was the Bonner fight 3 years ago, but it's like you could even just say pick the main or co-main event for last night. That's how good those fights were. Like,
there's I don't know. There's so many, man. Go for it. Let's hear it.
What?
I did a bit of a presentation on this once, and I showed a room full of people the Paul Daly Nick Diaz fight, just for pure entertainment. I just thought like it sort of sums up why we go to these fights, doesn't it? You know, not necessarily don't always have to be a 5-round fight to be fight of the night.
No, there's too many fights. There's Lawler, Condit, Lawler, Rory McDonald. You've got John Jones and Gustafsson in the first one. It's absolutely mental. There's so many good fights out there to pick.
For me, it's Henderson. It's Henderson Shogun.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was
Henderson Shogun. That 5-round. That was awesome.
The reason that would be a good first fight to show somebody is that it was bloody, it was violent, it was brutal. But the thing is too that people forget that there was actually wrestling in there. There was a lot of grappling. It wasn't just a stand-up battle. Like my fight would probably be like Swanson versus Choi, but that was mostly stand-up. If you want to show somebody this is MMA, this is how good it can be, how violent it can be, how brutal it can be, and it's not just standing, it's not just striking. I think that's a good one to go with.
Eddie Alvarez, Michael Chandler. That was always one I would go to.
What was that one?
I guess that's UFC,
Tony Ferguson and Pettis.
Oh, Pettis, yeah, that was
Melendez Sanchez.
Oh, come on.
What about my mate Chet Congo and Pat Barry?
My mate Chet Congo.
I never watched that live. I was thinking, what is going on here?
Yeah, that was crazy, man. Who was the ref in that one again? I don't know. You told me before, Victor. Who was the ref? The Big Dan Margliotta. Let that one go?
Yeah, Margliotta for Congo Barry. Yeah, Margliotta.
Good for him, man, letting that one go. That deserved to be. No, one I always go, I know it's not the UFC, but one I always go to if I was showing it for the first time would be Robbie Lawler and Melvin Manhoef. Remember the leg kicks and then just chewing him up, man.
Starches him.
Snoring with his eyes wide open. Brutality, man.
To flip that on its head then, because I want to enter the competition obviously to win this prize. What fight wouldn't you show someone?
Is it the heavyweight fight Pester and who was it? It was like Victor Pester against someone, and it was absolute shit.
There was a UFC heavyweight only card I remember, and it was like the headline I'm sure was like Mark Hunt and Ben Rothwell or something. It was fucking, that whole night was awful.
Did Denny's watch the Abu Dhabi card years ago?
No, that was bad. That was rough.
Nobody was like used to the
Anderson
atmosphere stuff.
Silva and Maya, was that one?
Yeah.
Hi.
And that was a terrible card.
I
don't think anybody could breathe.
Caleb Stearns versus Christ, the name will come to me. UFC from Tough One. Nate Quarry. Caleb Stearns, Nate Quarry. Worst fight in UFC history. I think Stearns spent the final 5 minutes running backwards.
What about Lewis versus Ngannou?
Oh yeah, that's it. No, that's
Did you say it was that Caleb Starn you said there?
I think so. Yeah.
Was that not the one where he put his hand over his he crossed his hands and he was using it as like an axe or something fucking stupid like that?
Double axe.
Yeah, the trunk.
Yeah, that was fucking weird.
One of the worst fights ever, but one of the best MMA gifts.
But why did he not have a reason? Did he not come out and say he'd done that because his medical bills weren't get paid or something? So he's like, "Fuck it, I'm not going to take any punishment."
I got to be honest. After watching the fight, I just didn't. I could care less what he had to say about it. I could have got in there and run away for 5 minutes. Yeah,
that was brilliant, man. Let's move on to Twitter questions then. So last part of the show, we've got at Twisley Snipes, who is asking, given the higher production value of fighter interviews, the ESPN MMA YouTube channel segment on Sports Center and being the centerpiece of ESPN Plus, was going all in with the pay-per-view on the app the best decision going forward for the UFC?
For the UFC, definitely. They'll spin it that it's also good for the fans because you save $5 on the service, even though it's just a wash because you're paying $5 for the service itself. But I don't see how it benefits anyone. It doesn't benefit the fighters. It doesn't benefit I mean, nobody cares about the cable companies, but I'm just saying they're not pleased. You can't benefit managers. I mean, it can only benefit the UFC. The thing is, what can they do with it? And then the thing I wonder about now is like, I don't know the full reason of why they did it, aside from just the money. But the thing is, they're saying that Endeavor's thinking of going public now. And if that's the case, they're going to have to start saying how, the pay-per-view buy rates and everything, they're going to have to be transparent about a lot of this shit. So it's going to be interesting what's going to happen pretty soon here.
As long as it doesn't go to a pay-per-view model over here, like here in the UK, I'm happy, because as soon as that happens, I think it hurts the sport. The UK is just not a pay-per-view. It's not a pay-per-view country. It's not and we get great European cards, but let's face it, Vegas is where the time difference and all of it. Nah, as long as I'm not paying pay-per-view, I'm a happy boy.
And I think the WWE was quite big with pay-per-views in the UK, but they've got their own network now. So I don't know anybody that pays that £15. Even if that, I don't even know if I've not saw an advert for a WWE pay-per-view in a while on Sky, so I don't even know if they do pay-per-view over here.
Oh, right. Is that how they do it now?
I haven't got a clue.
Yeah, it's 9 out. Yeah.
You know what? Why haven't they thought about bumping up this cost of the Fight Pass and just showing everything?
Exactly.
Yeah,
right.
I don't know why they don't do that.
I know.
Makes sense.
It would be a lot better, but then again, people, it's the different markets. They've got a kind of TV rights, different markets. Maybe something to do with that. I don't know.
Yeah, because in the UK we pay no more than £20 a month for BT Sports, and we get every card. We get all the Ultimate Fighters. We get all the UFC, all the different UFC shows like Unleashed as well, all the flashback shows, everything like that, all for just £20 a month, all included in one channel.
The difference is in the American market, they're going to get they're going to get a ton of those shows on their cable box, which they'd be paying for anyway. The fact that we've got that one platform, that one channel that we can get all of our kind of UFC content on, that's the joy of being a UK fan as opposed to the Americans. I mean, I think it's easier for us to consume the product here.
Yeah, much so.
I remember one time I was in the States visiting the in-laws, and I went on demand, and it was like one fight which lasted about 10 minutes, and they wanted $6.99 just to watch that one fight. I was like, "You're having a joke." I was like, "I can watch that on YouTube, mate. What's wrong with you?" But,
exactly.
I realised when I went over there, I understand why there's loads of UFC bars and people have UFC parties in the States. It makes sense. You're paying stupid money. Like in the UK, when the big boxing event's on, we all tend to go around to one person's house because you do pay pay-per-view money for that. So, yeah, in the UK, we're lucky with that. The only thing we're unlucky with is that they're live at 2 a.m. That's the only issue. Yeah.
Let's see, on Twitter, @Almo715. Will the rise in PED suspensions and the rise of international promotions like One Championship and Ryzen, is it Risen or Ryzen? I don't know how to say that. Will we see more fighters jump overseas to avoid USADA in the UFC? Isn't that what they say about Bellator? Like, a lot of guys go there because it's not the test.
Yeah, they go to certain states where the sanctions are a bit loose, let's say.
Right.
That's why you see them go to these random cities in these random kind of states in America. I would say that they won't go to avoid USADA. It's just the pay. You look at Bellator now. Money's good. You get your own. You can do your own sponsor stuff. Yeah. So, KSW, good money. I've spoke to people who have been former UFC guys, went to KSW, and they said money's better. So simple, it's a no-brainer for them. So it's one of them ones where it's not just because of the brand. It's now got to the point where UFC was the Olympic standard, but you got to think to yourself, it's all about me. The UFC do this whole silly fighter pay, and if you win, you get double your money. No, they need, like everyone says, they need to scrap it. But in these other promotions, they get the sponsors and they get the fight pay, and it's just better options there are other than the UFC.
I can't help but think that Ruslan Magomedov tested positive 3 times in a row to get out of the UFC contract. I seriously believe that. He got a lifetime ban from USADA, and he's Russian, so he's like, well, I can go to M1, I can go to ACB, I can go to Fight Nights or KSW or One or Ryzen. I mean, there's no lack of options for him, so I can't help but think that. Sorry to whoever I interrupted there.
It's all right, bro.
I think you're on with something that my conspiracy theory made is getting a boner when you said that. I was like, oh, you may actually be right. Maybe he is doing that just to sabotage it and get. I never thought about it like that. Probably
well,
right.
if you're Russian and you can't get away with doping, then you're definitely trying to get caught. have you seen Icarus on Netflix?
No, but everybody keeps telling me watch it.
Mate, watch it.
Yeah.
Great documentary.
They get a watch, man.
The interesting thing about these suspensions is people aren't leaving when they get caught. They're leaving when they have to fight clean and get knocked out. So if they're leaving because they've been busted and they want to go to other divisions so they can keep doping, that's cool because we've already seen them getting knocked out. So I don't think the UFC is actually that bothered, and for the most part, I guess neither am I.
Fair play. At Mike Low 85, where do you see bare knuckle boxing in the next 5 to 10 years?
Car parks.
You're not a fan now.
Pubs.
I gotta be honest. I mean, who am I going to offend people with? Who cares?
Who cares? Yeah, who cares?
I've never seen one, but I quite like that. But there's a lot of buzz about it. I mean, I want to see what it's all about.
Yeah, but it's not new. You go into a city center on a weekend night, you'll see plenty of bare knuckle boxing of various standards. I gotta be, again, it's the barbarism of it for me, I suppose, and I perhaps it's more honest than boxing with gloves on, because the gloves are there to make you hit. I don't know. It just doesn't sit well with me.
Is it the brutality of it? Is that what?
I thought it'd be no, because I have no problem with pride. I have no problem. No, I just
cockfighting.
I know. Well, that's what I was thinking. Like, a lot of people that would say that are the same people that would say that about like early UFC. And early UFC needed some rules and regulations, man, no doubt. Prides,
I'm not sure I've seen a standard of bare knuckle boxing that has made me think that the boxing has been very good.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure it has been because people have been knocked out and cut, but it never looks. I don't know. It doesn't look as sport.
If you take away the guys we've had, like for example, Jason Knight, Artem Lobov, Brad Pickett, Beck Rawlins, Chris Lieben. If you take away all the former MMA guys and girls, would any of us have even known there was any bare knuckle boxing events? No one care. It's just because the MMA media outlets need some column space, something to fill the time, so they cover it a little bit. But other than that, we wouldn't really know what's going on.
It's on. I hear you, man. It's on its coattails.
A bit of free publicity.
But then you could say that about, and I hate to like shoot the sport I love, but a lot of people, you're talking about riding on its coattails. But a lot of journalists for boxing will put in an MMA piece when boxing week's slow, and it's on the coattails of that. I don't agree with it, but I you know what I mean.
I think I'm sorry. Go on.
I do agree with what you're saying, but to be honest with you, I did quite enjoy watching Artem Lobov and Jason Knight.
You saw it, right?
Knock the shit out of each other. But and I love watching Chris Lieben. But you are right. If those big names weren't in it, like you've got Rumble Johnson helping out, Chris Lytle as well, and those big names are bringing attention to it. Like I'm not going to lie, I've been paying a lot of attention to it and watching it as it goes bigger and bigger. I'm actually interested how big it gets, because if fighters keep going over there, it wonders how much they're actually paying these guys. Like look, Paolo Malignaggi's over there now, an ex-boxer. So they're obviously offering these guys must be offering them a little bit of a wedge.
That's a sore spot though, isn't it? Because a lot of them haven't been paid.
That was the other organisation.
That was another one. That was the different one.
Yeah. That's where Chris Lieben left because he didn't get paid when he fought Phil Baroni, I think it was. And that was an awful fight. Phil Baroni kept trying to take him down. It was a boxing match anyway. But so they all went over to that BKFC run by David Feldman, I think his name is. And to be fair to him, it's done pretty well for the short amount of time. I'll give him that.
I want to see. I'll reserve judgment until I see it, I
think for me it's the crossover, as in like, we've all done a lot around MMA over the years, and especially in this country, we've been to some horrendous showings, and we've done a lot to try and legitimise it. But the problem is, like, even with the white collar MMA stuff, as soon as someone dies in that cage, it's MMA fighter, not white collar fighter, or ex MMA fighter dies in bare knuckle fight, and it drags the sport down that we all love. That's your issue for me, really. As long as that don't happen, like, go for it. Like, I'll watch it. Don't get me wrong.
I think the inherent problem with bare knuckle boxing is, as it is right now, is that it seems like it's like a spot for like ragtags and misfits. You know, people just been kicked out of the UFC, people who have retired and, you know, are coming back. I don't see any young kids aspiring to become bare knuckle boxers. I mean, I think I can't imagine a good boxer going in there. Paulie Malignaggi's going in there. He's probably the best one, but you know he's been retired some time too. I just don't see anyone actually going in there and that be their sole focus. It's always going to be like a part-time job, for lack of a better term. You know, like MMA didn't work out for me, so I'm going to this. Kickboxing didn't work out for me, so I'll do this. And then even if you see, like I love kickboxing, and I know that there's not the biggest audience for it, but a lot of kickboxers are getting into boxing because there's just not that much money in it. And these are like world-class kickboxers. I'm like, well, I can just throw hands and make better money. So I don't know where that's going to come in bare knuckle boxing. They're giving some decent purses to like lower end MMA fighters, but I don't know where it's gotta reach a point eventually. The ceiling on this isn't that high.
Yeah, surely if they allowed kicks and knees and grappling and all of that stuff, it'd just be more exciting. And well, hey presto, you've got MMA without gloves, and that's how we all started, isn't it? I mean, I just don't understand when you can see a sport that encompasses it all. You guys are fighting bare knuckle. Well, throw the knees in. All right, throw the kicks in. All right, throw everything in. Just keep the gloves off.
That's true.
I'd watch that.
But yeah, but you're right. But think of the clientele that's gravitated toward it. It's guys that are, I don't want to say fed up with MMA, but it's they're like God love him, Mark Godbeer. Although I think he's just signed for ACB now. But like he was retired from MMA and still looking to compete. So, and then you've got guys like Malignaggi, ex-boxers. So it's the marriage of those kind of sports athletes, for want of a better phrase, that's attracting.
It's good you're fighting with ACB. Is that the ACB Jiu-Jitsu thing, or is he back out of retirement?
No, he's legit in MMA, back in MMA.
Oh, isn't it ACA now?
ACA, that's right. Yeah. Those Russians, man, I'm too scared to talk shit about them, so I'd like to move on.
I worked for them once.
Oh, poor bugger.
And that's all he said. You notice that's all he said. I worked
yeah.
The less about the sex trafficking you did, Steve, the better.
Yeah, sorry.
And we're back there. Let's move on. At Else4Elf, if Conor's foot was broken or injured, at least he got in the cage, unlike Desanios pulling out. Did Desanios pull out? What happened to Desanios?
Yeah, he was supposed to fight Desanios, and then that's when we got the first fight.
Did he break his ankle, though?
That's right.
No. Did you not see the size of his foot on that picture? It was like the size of a tree stump nearly, his foot. You couldn't hide that.
I hadn't thought about that, but you know what? That may be an instance of Conor shit-talking coming back to bite him. It's like, well, you can't pull out with a foot injury after you made fun of a guy for fucking pulling out with a foot injury, you know? So he just had to go with it. There's
videos of him, though, in the Khabib fight, obviously when they're doing the intros, he's just stood there stamping his feet on the ground. And someone was like, if you broke your foot, how would you be able to physically do that? And he's stamping his feet 3 times on each foot, and you think, yeah, I'd probably tickle a bit if I broke my foot.
He was just practicing for smashing someone's phone, probably. I think that's what he's done.
That's a good point, yeah. Good drills.
Good drills.
They dropped the charges.
Allegedly, that's right, I have to use that word. At Anders4Mead74, what's with UFC fighters and domestic abuse cases these days, a la Matt Hughes, BG Penn, Tony Ferguson? Will this kind of thing become the downfall of the sport?
You know what? I've actually brought this up on my podcast a lot. We always talk about these issues, and I don't like doing it, but I would do it because it's like, well,
he needs addressed.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, John. That's exactly what it is. But the thing is, I saw Tim Kennedy tweet about this the other day, and I really wanted to reply back to him because I fucking hate Tim Kennedy. But I think he did make a good point. He said something, I'm paraphrasing, but he said something to the effect of the UFC and MMA promotions really need to get a grasp of this. They need to see that they basically have a hand with this because of CTE and TBI and things like that, and they should really find a way to remedy this. And I couldn't fully, I guess I have my issues with it, but I have my issues with Kennedy, I should say, not really with the statement, but I think he does have a point. Like, well, you're taking blows to the head for such a long time, it's gonna affect you. You know, I mean, you know, it's another thing that people don't like to talk about with soldiers. You know, they have PTSD, and yeah, a lot of them come back and beat their wives and kids, and it's nobody wants to talk about it. It's not cool, but that is a side effect of trauma. So, I don't know. I think this is one of those things that's going to come down to unions and bargaining and whatever those things are that people are looking forward to. Is hopefully the fighters can get their shit together, because I don't see any reason why the UFC is going to, you know, whenever anything like this happens, they just don't talk about it. It's rare that they cut a fighter, and if they do, it's like they're just not going to touch it. So I don't see any reason of why they're going to help. I think it's going to be on the fighters. Once they get shit rolling in one way, they can probably finally address this, but I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. I'm just glad that I'm just glad that at least with the media and with especially the fans, it seems like we're believing the victims, we're believing the women and these accounts, and there's still some dickheads out there that are, you know, for money and they're making it up, but for the most part, like I say 80%, 90% of the audience is on board with what the victims are usually saying.
No, well, is it harsh to say? Look, if it was an alcoholic who's smacked his missus around or mistreated their kids and stuff, and they say, it wasn't me, it was the booze. Well, the booze didn't smack them, you did. You know, these guys, they're professional athletes. I know they're in high stress situation, but simply put, there's got to be a huge sense of responsibility coming from the guy that threw the punch or pulled the hair. You know, I know people as long as they're accepting responsibility for the fact and not making the excuse, I think it's fine. But as soon as they start to use it as the excuse, you're just justifying, you're justifying it happening more. And I feel for these guys, but if they're not going to take a modicum of responsibility, then no help in the world's gonna change it.
You know, the law is the law, and obviously, if anything like that happens, they hopefully do have to answer for it. Unfortunately, it seems like not a lot of women come, or just anybody. Not a lot of people come through and are open about these accusations because of shame, because of fear, or whatever. And I'd like to say I wish the UFC, or if this is going to go to the promotions, that they can help out the victims. But then you start to think about it, and that's also going to be problematic, because that can, actually bring up it can actually bring up situations where people may lie about their spouse. They don't want to be with them, so they lie. Oh, he beat me, and then they can try and get the money out of it. I mean, there's many fucked up things that can happen in these situations, and like this thing with BJ Penn, especially, he was the last one. Like, it was really.
What was the thing with BJ Penn? I saw the headline, but I didn't read any further.
He basically, allegedly, according to, there was a restraining order, and his I don't know if it's his ex-wife or baby mama. I don't know who the woman was exactly, but the mother of his kids said that he'd been abusing her physically, emotionally, and even sexually for the past 10 years. Jesus. And I talked to Ben Duffy this week on my podcast, and he said, that he's had it on good authority for a while that there's no reason to not believe this. He's heard rumors of this and just wasn't 100% sure. So I've even heard people say that there was reports where BJ keeps fighting because it's the only way he can keep calm. So, I mean, it's really, really troubling shit.
Yeah, there's another issue there of why BJ Penn keeps fighting as well.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's just, that should have been over. That raid should have been shut down a long time ago, man. I'll argue anyone who tells me otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's not an easy fix to this. I think just the only silver lining we can take right now is that at least the victims are being believed for the most part, and it seems like most of these claims are true. I mean, Rachel Ostovich, there was the police report. KGB, there was a police report. The thing with BJ, there's a police report. It's not just people just going to Instagram. Oh, look, I have a bruise. He hit me. They're actually doing the right thing for themselves, kids, and for the proper procedure to go through. It's like, oh yeah, she is a victim.
Fair play, man. At Frock Fight Picks says Jon Jones, DC, and Conor McGregor. Who you going on a night out with? who you have a night in with, and who are you sending in a cab home? So we got Jones, DC, and McGregor.
Well, it's definitely a night. It's a night. It's go on, mate.
Sorry, thank you. Okay, so I'd send Connor home in a taxi because he's immediately a liability, right? He's going to fuck your shit up. He's going to get you thrown out the club, so he's going home. Jon Jones is coming out with us because he's packing the Class A's, right? And I'm staying at home and cuddling with DC because I think he's a super cuddly guy.
I mean, that's probably it.
I could reel that off the top of my head because I've thought about that one before.
Did you send this question in?
That's the best. I've got to agree. I've got to agree with you there, but because you'd stay in with DC because he's always got cake and chicken, hasn't he? As he sings about. It's all about that cake and chicken song that came out. What was it?
I'd say get an Uber though. If you've got Jon Jones on night out, make sure you book an Uber. Don't let him take the car. Don't let him pick you up.
No chance. Don't hand him the car keys, exactly, mate. Any other takers for nights in and nights out?
I don't think that can be topped.
No. Fair enough. We've got one more from Twitter then before we wrap up, guys. At Wilson Hayes, Adesanya, Gastelum, will it be fight of the year for 2019?
No. Can I just jump in quick on this? Like,
he's wanting another question. Go on.
No. This question, but you discussed it earlier on, right? So this is going to be controversial, We'll see what you guys think. But I woke up this morning, put Twitter on, I looked at it. I could see all the hype about the fight and stuff. So I went downstairs. Mrs. is a massive fan as well. Didn't tell her anything about it. Sat and watched the fight. And don't get me wrong, it was a good fight. But people are saying it, fight of the year, best fight ever, and all that sort of stuff. For 5 full rounds, that wasn't the best fight I've ever seen. Nowhere near. Not even probably this year. I don't know if it's because I watched it knowing the result, or I don't know if that took that surprise away. Because when you're watching it and you don't know the result, I suppose it's a mystery, innit? But I don't know. What's your guys' thoughts?
Well, I think you're right about the element of it being live, because I did that with what was it, Doo Ho Choi and Cub Swanson. I already knew the result going in, and I'm very resistant to when people tell me this is the greatest thing ever anyway. But I remember going in and going, well, that was all right. It wasn't like I've seen better, you know what I mean? But another thing is also like the freshness of something. Like I remember talking to Robin Black, and he was saying, well, when we talk about greatest fights ever, like what's the greatest ice cream you had? You know, the greatest ice cream is probably the one you had most recently. That's sort of whatever's fresh in your mind, you know what I mean, that's going to have a more lasting impact than something further down the line. And you can kind of liken that to this case, fight of the night or fight of the year or whatever this guy's calling it.
I think it's been in the moment as well. You're sitting watching it live,
it's
and
a big part of it.
The fans are into it, the commentators are into it, and you're thinking, this is great, but it's almost like watching a movie. You come out of the cinema and you go, that movie was amazing.
You're
Give it a few months, watch it again and see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, it's got some serious contenders coming up. Look at the next, what's the next main card with Jon Jones headlining it? There's a few fights on that which could take fight of the year, to be honest with you.
What's on
and
that?
we're only in April. We're talking fight of the year.
That's true. It's early doors. You're right, mate. Exactly. It's early.
Yeah, I think people need to do with the caveat. It's the front runner for 2019 so far. Obviously, there's 8 more months to go of many good fights. The only other fight I can think of that's close to it that's happened this year is Luque versus Barberena.
Great fight.
But that was a 3-round fight. They weren't top contenders, so Gastelum Adesanya beats it big time. But I will say, I don't find any way that anybody tops a round of the year. That 5th round, I think, was the round of the year easily so far. I don't see anybody beating that this year. I will put a stamp on that one.
Was nobody else jumping up and down watching Hernandez and Cowboy?
Yeah, that was a good fight too. I
was edging my seat the whole time, man.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget, Gaethje will probably fight again this year, so keep that in mind.
Who? Duffy and Gaethje?
No, Gaethje's going to fight this year.
Gaethje, yeah. Anything that guy's involved in, for sure.
He's going to be in the mix, so there's some good fights for him to jump into. Him and Tony Ferguson might be a good fun fight.
Yeah, man.
Well, sure. Paul Felder might have something to say about that. How many times is he going to ask?
Oh, no, yeah, crazy, isn't it?
Desperate for that fight, man. Absolutely. Guys, there you have it. We've got through all our questions. It's that time now where we pick a winner. Do you want me to run through some of them just as a wee reminder? Let's see. Kevin Jones started the show with Garbrandt pumping something anally. Paddy Patterson was asking what fight he would rather be raped by.
Is it wrong that I actually remember that one the most?
It does stick out in the mind, mate. You're right. Dave Bill was asking, should headbutts be legal? Let's see what else. What was the other one? Katrina McElroy, if you were showing UFC to a friend for the first time, what would you pick? And then Shawn's, what fight would you pick? What was it? What fight would you show them to?
That was an excellent question.
That's it, mate.
We're sharing the prize, right, Betsy?
No chance, mate. No
right
chance.
down the middle, 60-40. That's it.
I've got to say, the first question of the night certainly set the tone.
That's it. Bare knuckle boxing, where do you see it in 10 years? If Connor's foot was broken, how come? What was it? Something to do with Dos Anjos. There was a good one about Matt Hughes, BG Penn, Tony Ferguson. I like that one. John Jones, DC, Conor McGregor, night out, night in, cab home, and Adesanya Gastelum, fight of the night. There was a couple I missed out there, I'm sure. Hold on. Any of those sticking out just before I look for others?
I like who would you spend the night in with and go out with, and them. I like them sort of ones. Gets everyone thinking, and everyone comes up with a good idea when those ones are out. So it's good. I'll go for that one.
I really like what fight would you show somebody to hook them to the sport you love? That question. That because again you get
that's his missus. His missus can't win.
If you look at the profile picture is my two kids. So either this is my stalker or it's my wife.
Yeah. But again, because when you start hearing other people's answers, you immediately start going, "Oh yeah," and then I like those questions that you could sit around with your mates for hours over beer and ask with that question.
Yeah, man.
I think I like the night in, night out question the most because I'm still thinking about what me and Daniel Cormier are going to watch on Netflix.
Netflix and chill.
Netflix and chill for sure, man.
Game of Thrones is what you were watching.
No.
Plenty in there to watch with DC, definitely. I would have to cuddle up to him at a few points.
Mental images.
Make sure you get double unders.
This podcast has took a rapid turn.
That's it.
That's after the first question was about anally rape, and it's taking a turn now.
I think the rape one's got to win it now just to finish the tone.
Back where we started. So I need to decide then, guys. I hear a lot of shouts for different ones. Who are we going for? What's the majority? Better find some more.
I'll go with the take out, send home, cuddle on the settee with. Was that the question?
Yeah. Let's see. What was
it?
Yeah. On Twitter at Frock Fight Picks. John Jones, DC, Conor McGregor, and the question was who you going a night out with, who you having a night in with, and who you sending a cab home. So
I'm going to go with that.
I'll go with that one. Yeah, go on.
We have a winner at Frock Fight Picks. You're the winner on Twitter. Well done. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl. I don't want to assume anyone's gender. It's all yours, man. You win.
Non-binary.
Non-binary. We're all fluid here. You win beastgear.co.uk prizes, strength and conditioning. You win some boxing gloves too. All set for your bare knuckle boxing debut, man. That's it. You've got it. You got it there. Outstanding, man. So that's us wrapped up, guys. Here's to another 4 years. Thank you so much for all your fan questions, everyone involved, and let me individually thank the panel here, starting with Kieran McNairn. Kieran, always a pleasure to get your time. Let our people know where to check out MMA High 5 and maybe what you've got coming up online, sir.
Right, guys, anywhere you can get podcasts, you can get mine, except for the last few months because I had babies the same as John. I've not done anything at all. So I also didn't even pay my hosting. So my website is shootingtheshit.co.uk, and that'll be up next month. And you can Google or go into any podcast and go MMA High 5, the number 5, and you'll find old podcasts of me talking about the news.
Superb stuff, man. To Jon Ferguson, massive thank you as always, mate. Let everyone know all about MMA Huddle and where to follow your work online, sir.
Yeah, just Google it. We're on all of it, YouTube. I've just done, just released an interview with Jack Shaw for the Cage Warriors.
It's going to be some fight, man.
Yeah, him and Scott's going to be a belter. So I've done a handful of the Cage Warriors guys. Got some more lined up this week. But just jump on MMA Huddle, and me and Will are we're chugging away, mate. So there'll always be stuff on there.
Awesome stuff. To Don Wilson, Don, always a pleasure, my brother. Let everyone know about Fighttalk Scotland if they don't know already. And thanks again for coming on, my friend.
Thanks, John. Great 4 years. Fighttalk Scott on all socials, and that's pretty much it. I've been a bit quiet. New job, baby on the way, so I'll try to be a bit more active, but we'll see. I doubt it.
All grown up, look at you. That's it, man. To Chris Allen, Chris, my man, thank you again for your time, brother. Shout out to MMA Fight Bible. Let everyone know, because you've got loads of interviews and different outlets. Let everyone know where you've got coming up, mate.
Thanks, John, very much for inviting me on. Check out Facebook page MMA Fight Bible. It's been going for a couple of years now. Also on Instagram, also on Twitter. I'm new to Twitter now, so it'd be good to get a few more followers. I feel a bit lonely. So it'll be it's Chris Allen MMA. So just follow that. That'd be great. Also some articles go to mymmanews.com, where also they get posted. And later on this month, and hopefully some more, I'll be doing interviews for my Martial Arts Chat podcast, so look out for them, which I'll be doing. And thanks very much, John.
To our boys at Severe MMA, Shawn Betts. Shawn, always a pleasure having you on, man. Thank you so much for your time, brother.
Cheers, bro. S_Betts_MMA for Twitter. Obviously, Severe MMA, front row MMA as well on Twitter. Shout out to my boy Brendan Rogers. And if you want to see Cali Steve, if you want to find Cali Steve, probably Grand is your best bet.
Why is it Cali Steve? I thought you were Canadian. How does that work?
Yeah, every time I did an interview, what part of America you're from, and of course I'm a bit of a diva. So, self-confessed, a bit of a diva. I like my M&M's separate in the dressing rooms and stuff. So Cali Steve seemed to fit.
Check it out, man, on Twitter. Steve, thanks so much for coming on, my friend.
Thanks for having us.
And if you've got anything coming up, please let our listeners know.
Well, Front Row will be picking up interviews for a lot of the regional shows coming up. The GTFPs, the Cage Warriors, the FCCs, UKFCs, and things like that. Severe MMA will be picking up the Bellators, the UFC things that are coming up. So we're constantly dragging our content out, but we're usually at a UK event, so we're always busy.
Superb, man. Be sure to check him out. And my brother from another mother, Victor Vargas. Victor, love you, man. Let our listeners know all about ifoxwithjuice, sir, and always a pleasure to get your time.
Thank you, John. Thank you for having me on, and congrats to you, man. 4 years of the show. I think I've been on for at least 3 of them. It's been a while. It doesn't seem that long, but it's the old times. But yeah, you can find me at Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at juice_MMA. The podcast is at ifoxwithjuice. I've recently started to put all my stuff on my webpage, juicemma.com, so I'll usually have a link on Twitter. You can catch it everywhere where the podcast is at, iTunes, YouTube, Spreaker, Spotify, the whole deal. And then keep an eye out. I think in the next couple of weeks I'm actually going to be covering an event live, so nice. I might have articles and a few other things coming out, so just give me a follow and see what I got coming up pretty soon here.
Superb, man. There you have it, guys. 4 years in the books. Thanks to everyone over those years. Here's to the next 4. And if you've liked this podcast, be sure to subscribe at all the platforms, man. Just search for Martial Arts Chat. Look for a wee guy who looks like Mr. Potato Heads with a gi on. That's us. Like us on facebook.com/Martial Arts Chat. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's at, you guessed it, Martial Arts Chat. I'm John Boy McElroy. Catch you next time on the podcast.